Okay, so this is where we're at. We've got ourselves a hand and we've got ourselves a blank. Now all we've got to do now is forge the blade. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to decide roughly how long I need it to be and cut this short, and then I'm going to forge a bit of a taper on the end, sort of you know, to get the belly curve, to get that sort of thing going on. And for the shape I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be forging it almost triangular to start with. And as I forge it up that way, it's going to be getting wider, so I also want to make sure I'm flattening it this way. And that also allows you to get the distal taper. The way we're going to be doing this is all going to be drawn down to make the blade wider all along here. And then it's going to come to a point, it's going to be curved, so obviously when we hammer in the bevels here, it's going to curve upwards, which is fine, we'll leave that. Unless it's too great, but at the end it will curve up something ridiculous. It always looks a bit like a witch's nose, so that will need correcting, but that curve will leave, the end bit we won't. And yeah, we're going to be forging down the bevels to a very thin edge, about 1 mil. Now normally, you know, you don't, you've got to leave a bit more, but because we're forge finishing it, it's not so much for a problem. So we're going to forge down to about 1 mil. That'll make it really sharp. Okay. So then once it's heat treated, we give it a final sharp and a scandy edge on the grinder, and then you know you've got yourself a really sharp blade. And the chance is mainly just to do with the thinness. You know, you've got already quite a thin material, and then you're forging down bevels quite long, and it's going to be real thin, and it's going to be good. So you can, while you're doing it, give it a touch up on the grinder. It's generally advisable not to, because it makes, you're trying to learn to forge, not to grind, and if you have to grind, it kind of means you're not doing something right on the forging. But if you're beginning, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with using a grinder. A lot of, you know, blacksmith enthusiasts will kind of may look down on that, but I don't see a problem, because you can't forge 100% perfectly all the time. I can't, you know, doing this, I've you know, on this one, I actually use the grinder a bit on that, just to kind of clean up this transition. It's not a problem. So if you feel like you want to use the grinder just to, you know, straighten up an edge, remove a bit of material here or there, clean up the curve maybe, fine. I've done it, and you know, there's nothing wrong with it at all, in my opinion. Others might tell you otherwise, but that's just my opinion. So, yep, that's what we're going to be doing. Forging the shape of the blade, you can't do a step by step on that. You know, you can give you the rough stages of it, but really it depends on what shape blade you want, and you kind of just go by the feel of it, and you get there in the end. So, that's what we're going to be doing.
I forgive you for walking this land you didn't know it was mine. You're just lucky nothing was out there looking round with their claws out. 'Cause no one truly knows what goes down when the candle's blown out around here. And eyes hiding behind every willow. They're too near, too near. There's a forest surrounding sits watching me, can sense my fear, my fear. And I'd give anything now for a rush of courage in my spear, my spear. And I should have listened to the tales of dark magic spun by the seer. We'll be vicious, oh foolish friend of mine. We'll be fierce, and I hear you. Just lucky nothing was out there, looking round with their claws out. 'Cause no one truly knows what goes down when the candle's blown out around here.
Okay, I just realised I didn't record the last few steps. I'm sorry about that, but hopefully I've explained well enough what it is I did. So, as you can see, we've now got it all a nice solid curve, nice scroll nested in that little gap. So it's still looking very rough, but you'll see what we're going to do about that in just a moment. But before we do, we've got to heat treat it. Now, because of this type of steel, I only need to harden it. I'll leave it dead hard because it just doesn't harden as much. But if you're using a high carbon, you need to harden and temper. You can see some of my other videos I cover heat treating, and there's plenty of better resources out there. If you can, by the way, if you can ever get yourself a copy of The Complete Bladesmith, then do so. It's an excellent book. Even if you're not into bladesmithing, it covers all the actually, you probably wouldn't need to know that stuff if you didn't go into bladesmithing, but it does cover all the different types of steel. It covers things like railroad track anvils, just about everything, everything you want. How to heat treat different types of steels, from like, the standard plain carbon steels to really exotic, like stainless steels that you have to like cryogenically treat. Anyway, going off on one again. This is going to be a long video, but in fact this doesn't take a long time to do. This takes about an hour. So yeah, basically. So yeah, I'm gonna heat this up. I'm gonna normalise it first. You probably don't have to with this type of steel, but it's good practice. So you heat up to a red and let it, just hold it at that red temperature for a while, then just hold it and let it cool down the air. That relieves all the stress ready for the hardening, because otherwise it could, it's more like to warp if you haven't normalised it. And I must admit, I have had this warp. Once it took me 3 quenches to get it right, even when normalising it. So we're going to normalise it, then we're going to heat it up to cherry red, and we're going to quench it in brine. Now brine is just salt water. I've got it there. If you've got a brine mix in your shop, expect everything to rust. Seriously, it just rusts everything in here. You just can't really odds it. But we'll quench it in there, and the thing with brine is it will cool down metal faster than ordinary water. And obviously, the faster you cool something, the harder it goes. And that's why with a high carbon steel, you quench in oil, so oil quenches slower. Because if you quench a high carbon steel fast, then it'll crack. It'll harden too quickly and crack. So we quench this kind of mild steel in salt water, and that that does the job. depends on what kind of master you've got. Some does, some doesn't. This does. And this is where, you know, the crazy things, like in the past, you know, they used to come with all sorts of weird quenchants like blood and urine. Urine is, of course, largely consists of brine, and that is why it was so popular. And, well, at least a common one. Obviously, they didn't understand why. You know, most of the time it's just, oh well, you know, do this and it works. So it does. It must be magical or something, and that's how it went. Anyway. I'm doing it again. Okay, we're just going to get on with this. So once we've heat treated it, normally you temper, I don't have to. Then we're just going to give it a little sharpen up on the edge on the grinder. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, just give it a quick zzz until it's sharp. And then that's pretty much it, you're done. And then, but the most important step is the wire wheel. We give it a go over on the wire wheel, and that makes it look nice. Okay, of course looking nice is the most important step. Anyway, onwards. Obviously water doesn't flare up, so I can't do my Beric Dondarrion impression. And there we have it. Covered in salt. Be very careful with wire wheels, these things can be lethal. Seriously, be really, really careful with these. Never do this with the edge up. Otherwise it might catch. You want to do it like this, or better like this, okay? And don't wire wheel after you've sharpened it, because they will snatch this from your hand in seconds. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see, but it is now nice and shiny. So that's that gives it quite a nice finish. Now, if you're quite new, I'd imagine you're going to get lots of hammer marks and pits in here. It's to be expected. Okay, there's not much you can do about it, but it's much better to have hammer marks and pits on this than it is on a polished blade, because on this it does actually kind of add to the character a bit. And you know, if you given this as a gift or something, then people, you know, a normal blade, you know, you look at it and you think, well, you must have just bought it or whatever. Whereas you look at something like this and you see kind of the roughness on there, and you know immediately it's been forged. And some people like that. They like to show off the fact that it's a properly forged piece. So yeah, that gives that a really nice finish. In my opinion, I do prefer this to polishing, but that might be just because I hate polishing, because it takes ages. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go over on the wire wheel. I'm going to essentially blunt this. I'm just going to be flattening this off, because when it comes off the forge, it's obviously a bit bumpy. You want to get rid of those bumps and make one solid curve on there. Be careful though, because it's quite thin, that you're not heating it up too much and ruining the temper if it's tempered. I basically just keep doing it until I see one solid line of ground blade. So see there's a bit of a gap there. Well, we're looking to get rid of all those basically. Okay, so now we're going to go over even passes until we've got a nice edge on it. So what we're left with is, you know, one Viking woman's knife. Nice and shiny, very sharp edge on it. You know, cuts probably prove me wrong now, but Yep, there we go. Cuts paper with virtually no problem. And this is, you know, a very rough grind. You can, you know, you can take this, if you then started using some sandpaper and a whetstone, you can get that down to a very, very, very sharp edge. And you can make it even thinner if you like, if the spell was longer. Do what you like. It's quite a versatile design. You can make it however you like. You know, these were obviously used by the Vikings. You know, archaeological finds have found that. However, it was also used. You would have found similar designs all through the medieval era, and probably later as well, and in probably lots of different cultures, because it is, you know, a classic design. It makes sense. It's logical. You know, you've got a piece of steel. This is something that blacksmith can forge. No handles. You know, no fittings, no messing around. You know, very elegant. It's simple, but it's very elegant, I find. And you know, you've done your tapers, your twists and whatnot. It's good fun to make and rewarding. It doesn't take long. And also, this little handle you made, you can put that on all sorts of things. You know, pokers especially. Make a poker, put this handle on it. Make any tool, make a fire rake, whatever, put this handle on it. But really what you got yourself is a very, very sharp, nice, elegant and simple knife for slicing, and it's great. Use it as a utility knife, I would. That's what I use mine as. You know, great for cutting string and rope and opening stuff. It's great. It's obviously, due to its size, it's not a camp knife. You can't use it for, you know, rough chopping. So really, this kind of steel doesn't really let it down at all. So there we go. So in the interest of keeping this video relatively short, maybe less than an hour, if we're lucky, I'm going to stop now. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you're interested in more. Comment, let me know what you want to see. I do kind of take requests. I might do another one later this week if you can get those comments in quick enough. And if you're interested in following all the other stuff that I do, then as I say again, Facebook page in the description. Go and follow that, and I'll be posting all sorts of stuff there. Pretty much everything I make. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'm gonna stop talking finally. Bye.